The warning. The dusty old medicine man had been around for longer than he could remember. He had seen the rise and fall of countless souls who had fallen prey to the seductive allure of the rock and roll lifestyle. But when he looked into the eyes of the young boy standing before him, he knew that this one would be different. The boy had the look of a wild animal, with eyes that burned with a restless fire. The medicine man could see the hunger in the boy's gaze, the longing for something more than the small-town life he had been born into. "Rock and roll ain't so good for your health," the medicine man warned him. "It'll chew you up and spit you out before you even know what's hit you." But the boy just laughed, his eyes shining with a reckless abandon that the medicine man had seen all too often before. "I don't care about my health," he said. "I just want to play music and live fast." And so the boy set out on his journey, playing in smoky bars and seedy clubs, chasing his dreams and chasing the high that came with every roaring chord. At first, everything seemed to be going according to plan. The crowds loved him, and he loved the crowds. He lived on a diet of cheap beer and even cheaper drugs, and every night he went to bed with a smile on his face. But as the months turned into years, the boy began to feel the toll of his lifestyle. His hands shook when he tried to play his guitar, and his voice grew hoarse from endless nights of screaming into the microphone. He tried to quit the drugs, but they called to him like a siren song, luring him back into their deadly embrace. He tried to slow down, but the music demanded more of him than he could give. And so he kept playing, night after night, until one day he collapsed on stage, his heart giving out from years of abuse. As the lights dimmed and the music faded, the boy realized too late that the medicine man had been right all along. Rock and roll wasn't just a lifestyle, it was a death sentence, and he had paid the ultimate price for his passion. The medicine man watched as the boy's body was carried away, his soul now free to wander the world he had loved so fiercely. He knew that there would be others who would come after the boy, others who would seek the same thrill and excitement that had driven him to his death. But the medicine man also knew that he could never stop them. The hunger for fame and glory was too strong, too powerful to be denied. And so he watched, as the endless cycle of birth and death continued, as new faces emerged from the shadows, ready to take their place on the stage of life. The medicine man smiled sadly, knowing that there was nothing he could do to stop them. For in the end, it was the music that called to them, that beckoned them to the dark and dangerous path that so few could survive. But still he watched, and still he warned, hoping that one day someone would listen and heed his words of caution. For the medicine man knew that while the music could be beautiful and wondrous, it could also be deadly and destructive, and he would do whatever it took to protect those who were willing to listen to his ancient wisdom. The medicine man knew that he couldn't save everyone, but he vowed to keep trying. For every young soul that he could guide away from the dangers of the rock and roll lifestyle, it was worth it. And so he continued to dispense his warnings, hoping that someday someone would listen. But he knew that the allure of music was too strong for some to resist, and that the cycle would continue as it had for generations. But for those who did listen, who heeded his warnings, and walked away from the seductive allure of fame and fortune, the medicine man was a hero. He had saved them from a fate worse than death, and for that, they would always be grateful. As for the dusty old medicine man, he knew that his time on this earth was coming to an end, but he took comfort in the knowledge that he had done all that he could, and that his legacy would live on, in the memories of those whose lives he had touched. And as he closed his eyes for the last time, he whispered a prayer for all those who had been lost to the darkness of rock and roll, and for all those who still remained, struggling to find their way back to the light.